department which I work in is called the Asset Management Department. And what we do there, we have something called mutual funds. Now, mutual funds are investment products that when you come to us, it allows you to invest in a variety of different investment instruments at any point in time. You get to invest in stocks, you get to invest in bonds, you get to invest in whatever you want, wherever you want, all over the world. So if you want to invest, for example, with one of our mutual funds, you could end up investing in Barbados, all up and down the EC. You can invest in North America, South America, Asia, Europe, gold, diamonds, technology, whatever you want to invest in, we probably have invested in there for you. So if you want to have a well-diversified portfolio, you can always come to us at Sagicor and, we can help you out with that. Now, persons often ask me, when I invest, and they look at me in a joking sort of way, they may say, I want to make $1 million. And I ask them, well, that's all you want, mate? But before I continue, how many of y'all want $1 million? Like some of y'all got it already, because y'all are raising. Let me ask again. How many of y'all want $1 million? There you go. Now, their investment, we can't make it for you overnight. But if you sit down and you decide that you want to be disciplined, and say put down a certain amount of money every month towards an account, which we can hold for you, we can make a lot of money for you over time. We have 3 mutual fund investment products which you can invest in, which can make money for you. If you want to invest, there are 3 ways you can go. You can go aggressive, which is risky. By risky, I mean there is a bit more volatility in your portfolio. So you may see the value of your money going up and down sometimes, but the general long-term trend is the money goes up. You can go conservative, where you do not get the volatility up and down. It's a slight and gradual going up all the time. So you may not get the level of returns as the more volatile one. However, you will not get the swings. And of course, if you don't want to be aggressive or conservative, what you can do, you can go straight through the middle of a balanced fund. Now, just bear with me and just use your imaginations. There's a story I like to tell called the 3 Little Pigs story. Yeah, I love it. So there are these 3 pigs, right? Triplets. Common sense would dictate that the 3 pigs were born at the same time as they were triplets, right? And they would obviously, as long as they lived their long lives up to 65 years old, they would retire at age 65, all at the same time. Now, if these 3 pigs went into the medium fund, not the aggressive fund or the conservative one, right? And they wanted to invest in that, you can make a lot of money over the long run. Picture it. Pig 1 came to one of these meetings here, and from the age of 18, these pigs used to live long, and they decided that they were going to invest, what was it, $40 a week from age 18 until they say they want to retire at age 65. So they came and they invested in this fund. Pig 2, he went off, instead of starting from young, he went off to UE, he got a nice MBA from there, and from age 35, what he decided to do is invest $400 every month in this same fund, and then he would retire at age 65 and he would stop. And then the 3rd pig, he was an entrepreneur. So from age 48, he decided to invest $30,000 a year, because as you get older, you make more and more money. So from age 48, he put $30,000 per year in the same fund until he was ready to retire. Let me tell you what happened. Pig 3, the entrepreneur, he put in $30,000 a year. What he would have ended up doing was investing approximately $510,000 between then and retirement, and his potential return would have been $1.15 million, just like that. Not bad. Pig 2, right? Investing $400 a week, that's what, $4,800 a year? He would have ended up investing $168,000 over that long period of time. His return actually would have been more than the 3rd pig. He would have gone back about $1.5 million. And pig 1, $40 a week. $40 a week, right? $40 a week, they put down. He would have ended up investing, I think it was $93,000 over that space of time, and his return would have been about $2.24 million. And these are real numbers. So, who wants $2.24 million? Yeah, there you go. I see more. Who wants 2.24 million? That looks better. Good. You gotta bring this up more. So Another example, which you want me to, okay, just making sure. Okay. So another example I like to give, at the end of 2004, beginning of 2005, we launched these two new mutual funds. And a lady called me. This story is rated PG-13/R. So if there's anybody who's too young, just cover your ears. So anyways, this lady calls me at the end of 2004, beginning of 2005. She says, "Mr. Kennedy," I said, "Yes, ma'am." "I hear you're launching some new mutual funds." I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Tell me about them." I said, "Yes, ma'am." "Mr. Kennedy," I said, "Yes, ma'am." "I am pregnant." I said, "No, ma'am." I thought she had met me. I was going to hang out the phone on her, right? So what happened was, right, she said, "No, you idiot." What happened is, I have this unborn child that I want to provide for, so that when the child turns 30 years of age, they have something there put down for them that they can make money for them in the long run. I said, "Cool." I went to my computer. She said she wanted to put in $500 to start and put in $200 every month until the kid the kid turned 30. So she said, "Mr. Kennedy," I said, "Yes, ma'am. What would I invest over that period of time?" So I told her, "Ma'am, over that 30 years, you have to invest about $75,000. And she cursed me stink. It was real terrible. A pregnant woman should not behave like that. Right? And I said, "Ma'am, listen to me. If you go out and you bought a new car today, you spend that same $75,000. I telling lies? Guys, the same 75 or more. And you have to pay back for that car in 5 or 7 years. At the end of that 30 years, where's that new car going to be? In the dump, someplace, right? I know none of y'all ain't gonna want it." So I told her, "Ma'am, if you had held on to that investment for that period of time, your investments would have been worth potentially about $838,000 when the child turned 30. Now, I know I look real young and thing, right? But I am over 30, and I had wished that when I had turned 30, that I had $838,000 put down there for me. So it's just going to show that even from now, even if you are thinking about the long term and the future, whatever have you, it's never too early or too late to start thinking about putting down money and saving for yourself. You never can tell when something like this can help you. My investments with Sagicor helped me fund AnimeKon in the first place, Melissa and I. So without Sagicor, without investing, AnimeKon would not even be here. So it just goes to show you can invest for any particular reason and you can make money in the long run. But after I told the woman she could make over $800,000, she got really, really excited. And then she wanted to put it even more now. She said she wanted to put in $1,000 to start and like $300 every month. And of course, the amount of money she put in had gone up, so the amount she would have gotten back would have also gone up. The money she would have gone back would have been approximately $1.5 million. Who wants $1.5 million? I sure do.
Hi, how's everybody doing? All right, my name is Sean Phillips. I'll just be touching a little bit on what Omar's been saying about budgeting your money, and then we're going to go into a topic that a lot of us don't really like to hear. It's called life insurance, and then right after that, then Roger will be speaking a little bit about health. Now, I'm seeing a lot of young faces here. How many of you here are working? Just raise your hand. Okay, no problem. All right, so I'm just going to carry through a short slide. Hope I wouldn't be too boring. Financial planning, as Omar was saying. Now, when you work, you're working for a reason. You're working to get an income, to get some money, so that you can buy a car, you buy a house, educate yourself, live comfortably. So as we have here, financial planning enables the individual to make the most effective use of his income. The difference between a person making use of the money or not, the same person can work for $1,000. But if a person invests their money in stuff like mutual funds, as Omar was saying, as opposed to the person who spends their money on partying, in 10 years, who do you think would come out better? I heard somebody say partier. But obviously not the partier. So next slide, please. Right, so everybody has goals and aspirations. Everyone has goals. Sometimes we sit down with people and ask them, what are your goals? And people just look at us like blank and just blink their eyes like, I don't have any goals. Everyone has a goal. It could be education. It could be transportation, to buy a new brand Audi. It could be own your own home, own a piece of land, start your own business, family security, retirement, and financial security. Right, so budgeting, proper management and control of income and expenses. Now, we can't tell you or control how you make your money. That's for you to control. But what we can tell you is how to, or advise you, is how to manage your expenses. That is, stop partying twice a week and party once a week instead. And take that same $40 that you spend going in, I don't know what's the clubs now, Club Extreme? Oh, that party shut down, right? Take the same $40 and put it into some mutual funds or some insurance or something where your money will work for you. In order to achieve goals and aspirations, compulsory saving is a priority. So when you guys get paid, what's the first thing that you do with your money? Anybody? Buy lunch? Yeah? So do y'all know that when you get paid, when your money goes on your account, you haven't paid yourself yet, you know? You get cash in hand. But still, you haven't paid yourself. The only way you pay yourself is when you take some of that money and you put it away into the savings account. Because once you get paid in your hand or in your bank and you're going to pay all your bills and you go partying, you haven't paid yourself. You haven't done anything. So it's very, very important that as soon as you get paid, you take a little bit out of your paycheck and put it down into some compulsory savings or into mutual funds or insurance. That way, you have paid yourself. Making sense? No? Yes? Yeah? Next slide. Right, so where insurance comes in, what can go wrong? Now, all of you here look very young, you look very healthy. So as long as you're young, you're healthy, you're working, you can achieve all the goals that you want. All the goals. But what happens now if you get sick? If you get sick, you get the flu, you're away from work for a month. What happens? Some jobs may pay you, some jobs may not pay you. What happens if you get a critical illness? Some of you may know someone who has cancer, who's blind, who can't speak. All those things affect your life. You have disability, untimely death, loss of a job, credit rating, damage to your property, loss of spending power. What happens now, any of these events that occur, they affect what your goals are. So if you're planning to put down money to go towards this first home, and you get sick or you get critical illness or you get cancer, your money has to go towards footing the bill of treatment. So then what happens to your goals? Your goals either fall back or they disappear. So our sole purpose is to say, no matter what happens in your life, if any of these events occur, we can provide the money for you so you can take care of those necessary expenses and still keep your goals in place. Everybody following? Yeah? Next slide. Keep it going. So just to give you all an idea, people say, well, you know, I don't need any insurance because I pay NIS and NIS can take care of me. Unfortunately, NIS gives you a very limited benefit. As you see here, 2/3 of your insurable earnings for a limited period of 26 weeks. And then what about when you pass away? Imagine you have your goals and a family member passes away. There's an immediate cost you have to pay called funeral expense. Who pays that? The family has to get together, take out a loan to pay for the funeral expenses. And as you see, NAS only pays $1,000 towards a funeral. Anybody know the average cost of a funeral? 3,000? Anybody else? 7,000? Keep going. $15,000 to $20,000 minimum for a funeral. So imagine you saving towards your house and your car, and you have to now borrow $20,000 to bury a family member. It means your goals are set back. Yeah? So, what are the Sagicor solutions? You heard about mutual funds earlier from Omar, but we also have life insurance. We have property insurance, which is like your house and your contents. Next slide. We have health insurance, which Roger will speak about. We have critical illness, personal accident. Then you have pension plans. Everybody know what a pension plan is? Yeah? And you have wealth accumulation. So, to explain it simply, I know life insurance seems very complicated, but I try to explain it as simple as possible. So, this is your timeline here. You may start working around the age of 18, and you normally would start working around retirement age, which is 65. So, you're going to earn all the income to do all your goals within that time. Yeah? So, example, let's say you're going to earn $5 million in that timeline. As I said, as long as you're living and you're healthy and you're working, you will achieve that $5 million. That's going to go towards your house, your car, all the travel, expenses, everything. But that line coming down the middle where you see unexpected event, if you get sick or if you die, let's use death here. If you die at that line, let's say that's age 30, it means that between that line and age 65, all the money that you would have earned in that time period is now gone. True? So, if you have a family, you have kids, etc., you have plans for them, you have your goals, and you die at age 30, how can you get back that money if you're no longer here? Any answers? Life insurance. So, there you go. Life insurance says the money that is lost because you died too soon, we would come and pay the money so that you can still achieve your goals. When you're going to the mortgage company and you're going to get your house and you want to borrow $400,000, first thing the bank's going to ask you is, what are you going to use as collateral? If we lend you $400,000 and anything happens in the next 30 years, how are we going to get back our money? So you can either use savings, if you have, you can use the same house as collateral, or you can use life insurance. But if you use savings, how many people have $400,000 savings put down? None, right? What about the house? People say, well, if I take out the mortgage for the house, they can take back the house if anything happens. If you have a family living in your home and something happens to you, would you want the bank to take up the house and sell it? And then your family is left without a house. So the best thing to use is the life insurance. Life insurance can also provide inheritance for your family, and it can also be used for retirement income. So life insurance builds something called savings in the form of cash values, and down the road, as Omar was saying, once you keep putting your money into these plans, over time they develop a fund for you, and at age 65 you can then use that money to assist as retirement income.
Funeral. One of the things that surprised me, not only the funeral benefit in the sense that you need the money, but when a person dies, you need to have a couple of $4,000 or $5,000 available within the first couple of days, because the undertaker there's a certain cost that you have to meet. So it is not just simply having the money, there's an urgency by which you have the money, okay? And those are the things that happen. I'm going to look at understanding the health insurance. People call it medical insurance, health insurance, pretty much the same thing. One of the concepts that I like to be that we all are conscious of, and we use it when we say life happens. And indeed life happens. The expression brings a reality of the truth. There are things that happen to us that goes beyond our control. It is a reality. But when these things happen, we are expected to act. And when life happens, it is not wondering or thinking. It calls to mind it is something you are to do. And just Monday, I have children, and just Monday morning, 7 o'clock, I was actually taking one to have surgery at Bayview. Now, it was a planned surgery, so, I was working at Sagicor to pick up the largest part of the bill, not a problem there. So we went through, he checked with me, he had the surgery. Around midday or so, I got a call, everything was okay. Obviously, I am praying. I don't think I need to mention my firstborn in surgery. I am praying. You don't have to worry with that, because in as much as Sagicor covering the financial costs and the doctors went to medical school, I know that it's God that determines life and death, and not necessarily the doctors or the insurance companies. It was okay. But I'm saying life happens. Around 7 o'clock in the evening, I got a call because I left a client. He actually started to bleed. It was bleeding through the nose and he was throwing up blood. Now, it meant that, obviously calling the doctor, he got back to the hospital and he said, look, I need to go back in. All right? He need to be in the operating room. So at 10 o'clock the same day, my son is again in surgery. Life happens. The thing is, the first one was planned for, the second one wasn't planned for. The cost that I will meet in the first, I can manage that. What do I meet in the second cost? Now the doctor said what was important for me to hear. I will go back in and stop the bleeding. I didn't want a maybe or a perhaps as my son. And for me, it is the reality is whatever it takes, whatever it costs, all right, will happen. Now for Sagicor, I know I have $1 million backing me in terms of the insurance. But at that point in time, the only thing I was concerned about was my son's well-being. Whatever it took, I would have used that. And what we're going to look at when we look at the medical insurance will be two elements in that medical insurance gives you an option, you have a choice, but it also preserves your investments. Because believe you me, we do have some very high medical costs that can wipe out all the gains that you would have achieved. All right, let's look a little bit at this and then we'll take some questions after. One, to reduce our financial risks and allow say to carry. These are two areas that we will look at. Go on. I like to use this in terms of financial planning pyramid. When we look at the wealth accumulation section, it is the purpose of budgeting. We want to budget to create a surplus. If you work right now, you just pay bills, you are in trouble. Let me go back a little bit. You're probably working right now and only paying bills. Don't worry, this time will pass. Reality is, years back in Egypt, there was a time of plenty, there was a time of famine. When you have to draw on your resources, don't feel bad. This is the time you will draw on your resources. But when this time has passed, you want to create, you want to start budgeting in terms of tracking your spending because you want to create a surplus. Out of the surplus, you will have your savings and your investments will be on that line. Because out of your investment is where your retirement money, estate money, all of that will come from unless you play the lottery, which I do not advocate playing the lottery. I prefer to work and build the wealth, create the wealth that way. Okay? Your insurance is at the foundation because that is what will protect the wealth that you have. The focus here is on the health insurance on my part. You can see where the other insurances will come into. The health insurance, and we've got a number of carriers in the market. What is important to understand is, remember I'm saying health insurance is supposed to do, is to reduce my exposure to financial risk. It is to protect my savings and my investments, so I need to understand what my health insurance is doing for me. And the other thing, when I understand that, I can look at the choices, okay? Baby hospital was not necessarily my choice, but that is where the surgeon does the surgery. One, to reduce our financial risks and allow say to carry. These are two areas that we will look at. Go on. I like to use this in terms of financial planning pyramid. When we look at the wealth accumulation section, it is the purpose of budgeting. We want to budget to create a surplus. If you work right now, you just pay bills, you are in trouble. Let me go back a little bit. You're probably working right now and only paying bills. Don't worry, this time will pass. Reality is, years back in Egypt, there was a time of plenty, there was a time of famine. When you have to draw on your resources, don't feel bad. This is the time you will draw on your resources. But when this time has passed, you want to create, you want to start budgeting in terms of tracking your spending because you want to create a surplus. Out of the surplus, you will have your savings and your investments will be on that line. Because out of your investment is where your retirement money, estate money, all of that will come from unless you play the lottery, which I do not advocate playing the lottery. I prefer to work and build the wealth, create the wealth that way. Okay? Your insurance is at the foundation because that is what will protect the wealth that you have. The focus here is on the health insurance on my part. You can see where the other insurances will come into. The health insurance, and we've got a number of carriers in the market. What is important to understand is, remember I'm saying health insurance is supposed to do, is to reduce my exposure to financial risk. It is to protect my savings and my investments, so I need to understand what my health insurance is doing for me. And the other thing, when I understand that, I can look at the choices, okay? Baby hospital was not necessarily my choice, but that is where the surgeon does the surgery. And therefore, I had the choice between QE and Bayview. But because I had the medical insurance, I can make that choice. It wasn't such a difficult one. Dialysis, as you may not know, is a very painful process where you sit down for 4 hours because the treatment will take is a 4-hour process, which you need to go 3 times a week. That is why you're looking $900 a week, all right? You can see the math there in terms of the year. So in 5 years, you are looking at $261,000. You see the house. I actually went on Carabliss and looked at the price of a house. 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 4,235. You see the price? You see what dialysis can cost you in 4 years? The second one is, this is what QB pays for the patients. But if you go private, the treatment is actually $400 a session. That is a cost. So even though you've made the investment, even though you've passed the saving, if you don't protect your investment and have certain things in place, you will lose it. Because normally we take 25 to 30, a 25 or 30-year mortgage to pay for a house. 5 years of dialysis is going to wipe that out. So even though we say you will do anything to preserve your wealth, reality, the cost can be really high, it can be significant. All right, let's go. Let's go to the other side because we had that one. What I want to look into is actually, for me, understanding the medical insurance is also another important element that we need to be very conscious of. I think it is hard, or rather, let's go back a little bit. We have a number of medical insurance carriers out there, and one of the mistakes I made even before coming into insurance was to believe that when I took out my medical insurance policy, that if anything was wrong with me, that my medical insurance company would cover it for me. That is not true. That was not at all true. My medical insurance company will cover what it is contractually obligated to cover. There is some medical insurance plan in Barbados today that will cover 250,000 Barbados dollars. That is all. This plan, Sagicor plan, well, in this case, is an example. This is where we cover $1 million. That is the amount either for a lifetime or if you need it at a one-time, that cash is made available for you. Now, and why I want to highlight here, just a couple of things about the medical insurance that I think you need to be clear about. And why? Because I met a lady when I first came into insurance who really didn't want to hear me or anything when I introduced a concept of insurance to her. And since I didn't know her personally and I knew I didn't have a history with her so she couldn't get me from anything I done, I asked her, well, what is wrong? And she said to me, look, my brother was paying insurance every month and he was diagnosed with cancer. And we got a letter saying that the insurance company will not honor any more claims. So she went, my brother came back here, they went to the insurance company and they asked the agent what was happening. The agent then brought up the contract and said, but look, this is what you were covered for. So the lady said, she asked him, what am I expected to do? He said, well, maybe the family can come together and raise money. I don't want to be in that position, so I decided I can tell you up front what the position is. The guy died. By the time they did raise the money, it was too late. He didn't have cancer. The guy died. But it is a reality. If you exceed the limit on the plan, you will get a letter saying no more claims will be paid. You can take your medical insurance the same way you use an ATM. You can call the company to find out how much money do I have left for medical expenses, especially if you're dealing with a critical illness, something like cancer. In Barbados today, I actually have a good friend of mine who went through $200,000 in 2 years. You see, he was getting chemotherapy, and the drug was $7,000 a month to deal with the side effects of that. So his retirement benefit was really $200,000. The problem was he found out like 2 months too late, so he owes the company now $14,000. Okay? So you need to know early, but you can access it. So that is why I highlight this, the importance of looking at the booklet. If you don't have a booklet, you need to get one. Because you need to understand what your plan will do for you in terms of this help you to manage your financial risk. So in this case, I'm saying it is $1 million, what it will drop to at retirement, your deductible, and we talked about the co-insurance factor, and this is the only part I have here in red because I want people to understand what that means. This is saying that, look, any given year, even if you're on Sagicor and you are extremely ill and the bill is under $50,000, up to $50,000, then $10,000 of that will be yours. 20% of the $50,000, that is your exposure. So any given year, you know if I am extremely ill, it is going to impact my savings. That is the limit. When it goes over $50,000, Sagicor will cover 100% of your costs. Now that figure can vary depending on the plan you're dealing with, and that is why it is important to go through the booklet and understand exactly what will be involved, because it is your money and you're paying for a service. You need to understand what it is. It avoids the confusion and the disappointment you expect the insurance company to deliver. You know exactly what it's delivering.